When I was a kid, my mom would tell us to go outside. She'd make me and my sisters go outside all day long. And we would go out there, we'd go play in the neighborhood, play with the neighbors, get our hands dirty, jump on the trampoline. We'd do all of these things all day long. Now, there was only one rule when we went outside, and that was that we weren't allowed to come back inside until the streetlights came on. Things have changed a little bit nowadays. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is check my email, check my Facebook, check my Twitter, make sure all of that's taken care of. Then I'll get up, go eat some breakfast, maybe turn on the TV while I eat breakfast, and then start to get ready for the day. There's no more dirt or playing outside in the sunshine really because I'm so busy. And the only time that really, I believe, that I've come to a deeper insight into this technology age that has taken over. Today I'd like to warn you about the serious problem of too much media intake through looking at the consumption of media, the immediate harm it causes, media intake linkage to suicide rates, and prepare you for a solution that we must take. Let's first take a look at the amount of media we intake. Now, we are addicted to media. This happens on a daily basis. We're addicted to TV. 99% of all households have a TV. The average TV is on for 7 hours a day. A personal example of mine is I recently started watching the show Mad Men. It's about an ad agency in the 60s, and it's super addicting. I started from the first season. I probably spent about 3 or 4 days just watching it straight. Even through the night, I would sit there and watch it just because I couldn't stop watching it. I was addicted. Even poor countries have TVs. And another example of this, when I went on a missions trip in junior high or high school to Juarez, Mexico, we went to the poor part of Juarez, and we were helping to build houses. So these people would take us into their houses, and we would look around. You know, they had their clothes, they had their food, they had their Coca-Cola, and they all had TVs. You know, what we considered poverty, these people still all had a TV somehow, and they were all watching it. Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube have aided to our TV addiction. Mad Men was playing on Netflix, which is what I watched that on. No commercials, which is great, but it makes it even more addicting because you can just sit there for hours and hours. Social networking also has us glued to our screens all the time. Facebook has grown tremendously since its start. Reporting from Jeff Bullis in 2012, he's an internet expert who has a blog. He states that over 850 million users are on Facebook, which just shows the huge demand that we have for this media and connecting with other people. 250 million photos are uploaded daily. We just have this need to talk to other people, let them know what we're doing all the time, checking in, posting pictures of the food that we're eating, just this need. And, you know, a lot of times it gets to the point where it's so unhealthy that you're sitting there refreshing your Facebook page a million times, trying to see if there's anything new coming up. Twitter is another social networking site that's really impacted the media consumption of today. It's the second largest social networking site. And, you know, this kind of works as if you're too strapped for time and you don't really have time to sit there and upload pictures or statuses. Twitter is the best for you because you can update what you're doing in 140 characters or less. And it's really quick. You can just update it from your phone, from your computer, whatever's easiest for you. Twitter has over 465 million accounts. This again is from Jeff Bullis, the internet expert, in his blog in 2012. And there's 1 million new accounts every single day. Mobile devices such as our cell phones and tablets also aid in our media obsession. We're capable of checking Facebook and Twitter on our phones if we wanted to, but we can also watch videos and TV at the same time. Cell phones such as the iPhone and the Android have apps such as Google+, YouTube, Instagram, which again allow us to step even further out and connect with other people. These connections aren't always healthy though. I know there are a lot of times you know, when we can't even go out to dinner with our families because we're so attached to our cell phones that we're staring at our cell phone the entire time. According to internet analyst Jeff Bullis, there are 600 million more people that own a mobile phone compared to those who own a toothbrush. So I'll just let that statistic stick with you for a little bit there. Media consumption not only takes up too much of our time, but it also is harmful to us, very harmful. There's physical harm in our media consumption. It's a scientific fact that media consumption, the amount of media consumption, is linked to obesity in this country. We've moved from active lifestyles to sedentary people. According to a 2003 article in Natural Health, spending a lot of time in front of the TV prevents you from getting sufficient moderate activity that could help prevent obesity, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and arthritis. And when you think about it, we always tend to be snacking while we're watching TV or on the internet. It's just something that we do, especially our movie theaters. This has become a huge pastime in American culture to go out and see a movie, and it's always fun. But the only thing that they have there for you to buy are buttery popcorn or candy. And they'll charge you an arm and a leg for these things, but we'll buy it anyways because of the fact that we're so just enthralled in this cultural phenomenon of sitting there and being entertained and eating while we're at it. There's really no healthy options at the movie theaters. This media consumption also causes emotional harm. According to Norman Herr, PhD and respected professor of science and education at California State University, children will see 8,000 murders compared to adults who will, over their lifetime, see a total of 40,000 murders. 40,000 people being killed for entertainment. This viewing violence is not really healthy, and it's been linked to children and adolescents acting out. This also includes an obscene amount of sex and pornography. Youth Studies Australia 2010 reports that the harms of adolescent exposure to this include interfering with normal sexual development, as well as undermining relationships and sexual violence. And I really think that this follows the old adage that what we put in ourselves comes right back out. So if we're going to put junk in our heads and we're going to watch all this awful stuff, pornography and murders, that's what's going to come out in our lives, and that's that's how we're going to act and think that that's normal. American Demographics 2003 states that this is leading a generation to grow up way too quickly. And when you think about it, if we look at like a television show from a few years back, like Happy Days. Happy Days is a family show. It's wholesome and it teaches values. And it was funny at the same time. It was entertaining. It still plays today, and we all think that it's fun to watch sometimes. And we compare that with today's shows that are very entertaining and getting all the ratings, like Jersey Shore, which is watching people go out and party and have sex and drink. This isn't really our reality. We call it reality TV, and it's not reality. TV has been called a drug to sedate us. When you start watching TV, it's been studied that our brain's alpha waves increase and the beta waves decrease. Natural Health 2003 states that once the TV is turned off, it leads to feelings of boredom, dissatisfaction, irritability, low energy levels, and an inability to concentrate. And what's interesting is that it was also reported that once the TV is off and you're done watching TV, people tend to be more depressed, which is interesting because usually when we put the TV on, we're hoping to kind of relax or feel a little bit better about ourselves and just unwind. But people tend to be more depressed afterwards. The 2010 Journal of Broadcasting and Electric Media states that we are addicted much like a drug to reality TV, which provides a sense of voyeurism and sensation seeking. Again, if we look at Jersey Shore, it's a show about watching these people kind of party and have sex and drink, and it's this sense of we need to see what they're doing. Another show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Obviously not as bad as Jersey Shore. We're not seeing a lot of, super inappropriate things, but it's the same thing of like, what makes these people so special? What makes them different than us? Just because they have a lot of money. So now we're so enthralled in watching their lives, like there's nothing better about them than there is about us. And most of the time, these reality shows are scripted. It's not reality. Media intake also affects our personal relationships. The amount of time that we spend on our televisions and cell phones and the internet really is greater than the amount of time that we spend with actual people. We'll talk online to these people, but we won't talk in person half the time. And the amount of media intake, like watching TV so much, has been compared to a guest that won't leave. Somebody that's constantly there stimulating your brain and won't give you a break or won't leave. 2003 Natural Health article states that it reduces our community involvement as well. So we're not really getting out there and meeting new people or helping our communities because we're so just obsessed with sitting around and watching TV all day. And most importantly, I think one of the biggest harms that it provides is an unrealistic expectation of relationships and romance. Personally, this has, affected me. I'll watch movies like The Notebook or A Walk to Remember, and you see these guys who are just like absolutely perfect, just heroes all the time, and that's not how reality is. I'll be in a relationship, and there have been times when I would say something or compare them to, like, why aren't you doing all this? Like, why aren't you like him? Why aren't you naming a star for me? That's not reality. That's not how relationships go all the time. So it can really cause a lot of problems in personal relationships as well, with these expectations that can't be fulfilled. Clearly, media consumption is linked to numerous harms, but one harm in particular is its association and effect on our suicide rates in this country. When we look at television, for instance, we see suicides and murders and violence on TV every single day. And the thing that's different about TV in real life is the fact that we'll see this scene of murder or, suicide, and 5 minutes later we're on to another scene of something completely different. Like, it's completely been forgotten, and that's the end of it. And that's not reality at all. Also, as stated earlier, television leaves us feeling depressed and dissatisfied with life. And this is definitely a contributing factor to suicide, is just, being very unhappy with your lives. It normalizes and reinforces behavior that is not normal. We're seeing things on TV that are telling us this is normal, this is how you're supposed to be, but this isn't reality at all. And it makes us believe that we're not good enough. I don't know how many times that I've watched TV and seen a perfect blonde, skinny, tan girl, and, she's always got the perfectly, wonderfully made boyfriend, and, that's just not life. That's not how people are made. No one's ever going to be that perfect all the time. The internet, again, is a great thing. It has a lot of information, but every blessing comes with a set of curses. With the internet, there's cyberbullying and harassment. We've heard about these, but they're not really talked about too much. People will go online and be bullied, and no one will know about this, and they'll end up taking their own lives over this. Web pages detailing suicide methods. You can go online and, if you're already feeling depressed, you can go online and see these websites that have a detailed description of how you can kill yourself, and that's awful. That stuff shouldn't be on there. Chat rooms to connect with other people. Chat rooms can be kind of cool at times. You can talk to other people and get to know them and stuff. But when it comes to people who are hurting, they often would need, talking to other people who are hurting might not be the best option for them. They need people who are going to give them hope and who can get them out of this slump that they're in life. And the thing with this is that it's all preventable. There is a solution. And the solution is that we must limit our media intake. It's unlikely that we can quit altogether, so the best solution is that we limit it. We need to set up boundaries for ourselves. For instance, if we go out with family, maybe we need to make it a rule that we put all of our cell phones in the middle of the table and we don't touch them until we're done eating. That way we can actually communicate with other people face to face and not through a screen. Go outside and read a book. Some say that fasting from media has really opened their eyes to how dependent that they've become. I know it's hard to not go on Facebook for a week or something, but sometimes it's really, really good. That way you're able to see, how addicted you really are. Now, the opposition to this would say, or the media conglomerates who are the opposition would say that they don't want you to limit your media, that you don't need to. They would argue that the internet is good, providing endless amounts of information. And that's true. We can go online and find something within 2 seconds of looking. But we also need to keep in mind that keeping updated on life and what's going on in the world isn't as important as taking care of ourselves and making sure that we are being the best people that we can be. And then there are also the same people that would argue that TV is educational, so we should be able to watch it and learn. Now, with the exception of PBS and the Discovery Channel, maybe NPR radio and a few other channels on TV, Yes, there are, educational channels, but for the most part, programming is designed to draw you in to a point where your brain is not thinking anymore. It's more entertainment than it is educational. I think the best way to summarize this is that what is permissible is not always beneficial. Just because we can watch a million hours of TV doesn't mean that we should. So to conclude, we must limit our media consumption. Today we looked at the amount of media consumption, the immediate harm that it causes, its linkage to suicide rates, and a practical solution to help us limit ourselves. It's time to get off the couch and play until the streetlights come on again.